This making video stuff is killing me because now I just did the first 2 rounds right here, and I did a lot of explaining on other stuff, and don't it figure somehow I lost it. I don't know how I lost it, but I lost it. So I'm going to start again because we're only on round 3. So technically now I'm on round 1. And I'm using Stylecraft Naturals Bamboo, which I absolutely love. But I bought all this yarn. Oh, here I can show you. All this, where is it, yarn for something else. And I have that something else started. But then I got involved in my own thing here and put that aside, so God knows it's not like I don't have enough Stylecraft DK, but I was curious as to how this pattern will work out done in cotton, because cotton doesn't stretch. If you look here at this the acrylic yarn, this is Stylecraft DK, is stretchy, so it makes it pretty easy to work with. So the cotton might be tight, it may not lay straight, so at least this way I can tell you where you might have to add an extra stitch or 2. I also have some of this, I don't know how to say it. You can go online and I still can't say it. It looks like sheep G's, which is absolutely positively wrong. It's something like scabies. I'm sorry, scabies. I don't know. But that's very good yarn too. And I wanted this dark blue. I don't have any in the Stylecraft, so I'm going to throw that in there because I only have like 2 rolls of that type of yarn anyway. So now I recommend you writing row by row. Row 1 is this green citronelle. Row 2 is going to be this. Write down the row and your colors as you go, because sometimes you get referred back to using a different row, and it makes it tons easier to find where you're working. What else? Oh, I need a 3.5 hook. This is a 375. This is a 325. My favorite hook of all time, I only have one of. It's a 5. Obviously, I can't use that. I've looked everywhere for that type of hook. I can't get one anywhere, so I bought this one. It's a 3.5. And I just can't get used to using it, but we're going to try it. Anyway, round 1 is a magic circle. How I do them, I learned from YouTube. Wrap it around your fingers, underneath, and you come out like that. I'm holding this like this, wrap it around, go across the top one so you have an X. Go underneath the X, pull that up and around, and then through the loop. And I don't know if you're supposed to or whether you do, but I always untwist that thing there. And for this first thing, I'm going to use this hook because I can do it easier. So after you have your magic circle, you can do a like chain 4 or something, and crochet in your little circle that you make, but you can't tighten it up. You'll have a little hole. If the little hole don't bother you, then be my guest and do that. But anyway, we need a half double crochet, chain 1 8 times. We need 8 half double crochets. So the first one is a chain 3. 1, 2 for the half double, 3 for the chain 1. Now I need 7 more, so we do half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet, chain 1, and I'll be back when we have 8 of those. Okay, this first chain 3, you're half double in your chain, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did a chain 1 because it's half double crochet, chain 1. Close that hole. See, that's the thing about I can close that hole. And then if you read the instructions, always, unless I tell you otherwise, always slip stitch into the first stitch I used. Well, we need a chain 1 here, so the first stitch is actually the chain 2, because that would be the top of the half double. So we slip stitch in there like that, cut the yarn. I don't like bumps using cotton, so I pull that through. If I was using acrylic, I would have did an extra chain to make it tight, but I don't with cotton. And then I sew my ends in. You do not want to wait till the end to do all your ends with this project, or you're going to be hating life. Some people find sewing ends in relaxing. I personally do not. So I either crochet over my ends when possible and I remember, or I sew them in. Unless for some reason, which I may notice that with this, unless for some reason I need to use the back of stitches, and if you already have your ends sewed in, it may make it tight and difficult to use those. So that can be an issue too. Sometimes some people wait like maybe 2 or 3 rows, 4 rows, and then sew your ends in case you have to use those stitches. I prefer to be caught up on my stitches, on my ends. Okay, round 2, you need a half double crochet, chain 1, half double crochet in every chain space. Because we're starting this row, we need to chain, so it will be a chain 3, 2 for the half double, 1 for the chain, and then another half double. So we need, and because I don't like too many bumps in cotton yarn, how I'm gonna start is I'm not gonna start with I will not start with a slip knot. It's too hard to hide bumps with cotton. So I just pull that through like that and start working. I don't count that as a chain, that's my joining space. So I do 1, 2, 3. Chain 2 is a half double, chain 1, and then another half double back into that same chain space. And we need 8 of these. There is no chain between sets, only between half doubles, not sets. So in the chain 1, half double, chain 1, half double, and continue till you have 8 sets. Okay, I have my 8 sets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's no chain between sets, so we need the second 1, 2, because that would be the top of the half double. go in there, I pull right through like that, and then cut. Then I pull this up, and it's time to sew those ends in. I'm going to show you how I sew this end in. This is the one that I finished, that I didn't do the extra. I go down through the top of the next stitch like that, then go down through these stitches like that, and then as long as you work two directions, it should not come out. So I go that way first, make sure I don't have it too tight, and then I turn it around, go through the next loop and back like that, and that shouldn't come out because I went two different directions. You can take it 3 times, but I might take it 3 times if I was using acrylic, but again, with cotton you're going to get a big bump. See, I have a little bit of a bump there now, but nothing I can't live with. So there's that. Now we're back to where we were when I lost the last video. So on to round 3. Let me see what we're doing here. Oh, I know, we're using puffs. Okay, so now we're going to be working puffs in our chain spaces. I'm going to use this pretty, I think it's called daffodil color. I'll try this again. No, not for puffs. Okay, so in the chain spaces are between your set, or not the sets, but in between your half doubles. So I will pull that through there, do a chain like that, and that's the start. Now these puffs are yarn over the hook 3 times. So 1, back in there, 2, back in there, 3, back in there, yarn over, pull through all of these little loops you just made, chain 1 to close the stitch. Now with puffs and any stitches that are crocheted together, I in the pattern do not list them as okay. So now this gets a chain 2. I do not count that as 1 chain 2. I count that as part of the stitch and now chain 2. Some might consider that a chain 3. I do not. So whenever you see, I'll put like close the stitch or something like that, that's the closing. So I'm going to do it again. Yarn over in the next one, 1, 2, 3, pull through all the loops, chain 1 to close, chain 2. I always consider that closing chain as part of the stitch. So you need 8 of those. I now have 8 puffs. I have a chain 2 here waiting for me to cut that off. Now if your tension is super tight, my tension is not usually, you can see that lays flat. If that is like way up and tight, you may have to put in a 3rd chain between stitches. You have to remember, I'll show you that when we get to it too. This is 3D crochet, so there are areas where it's supposed to stick up, so you kind of have to judge, but for right now I didn't need to do that. Now chain 2, to close when I'm in either a puff stitch or a cluster of some kind. I always go into this closing chain. The chain I did to close off the stitches has a little tiny hole in it right there. That is where I pull my yarn through and then through again. Cut this off. I did check, this is daffodil. Pull that through like that, and see when you do them in the top of that little loop there, it's right where it should be. Now see, that curled up a little bit, but it does lay flat when you do that, so I'm not worried about that yet. Now sometimes, like right here, I do not have a good spot to sew in the ends because there's a chain here, there's a puff here. I do not like to have, if I put in my ends in underneath the puffs, you're going to see the end over top the blue, even though it's on the back. I personally don't like that, so I'm going to wait till I have a spot to sew that in. Now we're moving on to 4. I wish you could feel this yarn. It is so soft. I absolutely love bamboo because it's so soft. But my piece will be a whole lot smaller, I would think. We're about to see here. I can check this already. Than the acrylic. Oh no. It don't look like it's that much smaller, huh? I would have thought it would have been a bit smaller. Anyhow, we're going to use the Stylecraft Naturals in the mulberry. And, whoops, I'm going to have to make a slip knot for this one, because I do, make that a little longer, I do a stand, usually when I start any row, usually I start with, you can't when there's a, dependent on the stitch. Anyway, I start with a standing stitch, like a standing single crochet, a standing double, standing treble. You can YouTube how to make those. If you don't make standing stitches, then you just do a chain. So you need a double crochet front post around a puff. You can do a chain like this, 1, 2, 3. That would be considered a starting double crochet front post. I use standing stitches, so whatever you use, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. I'm just in the habit of using a standing. So I need a double crochet front post, and then in each chain space you're going to double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and you're back to your front post, double crochet over your puff. I don't know if you say over or around, I say either. And now we're back to the chain space, double crochet, half double crochet, whoops, single crochet, half double crochet, and I'm gonna have to keep that kind of tight, and a double. and then a front post over the puff, and continue that around till you come back to this double. Okay, when you come back around, I did all my stitches. I generally do a slip stitch in the top of the second stitch. That way that loop I just made covers that first stitch and it makes it look like it's all one piece. Okay, so now I pull that through like I did the other ones, and as you can see, that last stitch I did is now over top that double and it looks like it's all one. Now I'm gonna sew in my ends, and do you see what I mean? Now I have a nice space, all these stitches here, to sew my ends under that you won't see them. Like you, if I sewed them under the puffs, you would have seen that. It would look like that. I don't like that. So now I'll put them under this rose. So that's where we're at. I hide these ends to make them look as much of that they belong there as possible. So now as you can see, this one that was a puff, I'm going to take up underneath the loops of the front post, and now it looks like it's part of the puff, and then go under these. So as I said, I go one direction and then come back. I'll go over top that first loop and back through the other direction, and then it should be secure. Now see, now you don't see it as much. Now these little fuzzy ends, especially with this yarn, if you have too much of an end sticking out, they get fuzzy like that. You can get fabric glue or something, Google it, then go on Amazon or something. You can get stuff to put a tiny drop of on them that not only will secure them, but it will hide that, it will keep it from fraying like that, but I don't use it. I sew those in just like that. And then the last one. I will take, now see that loop is on top of my front post, so it looks like it's part of that. So I will go down into the next loops like that. I will make sure it's kind of tight, but not enough that I squish the stitch, and then I sew it in, going one direction and back through the other direction. Just like that, and here we are. Rows 1 to 4 are finished.